Ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to the Mackay T Podcast. Here are your hosts, Ryan Mackay and T Davis.
This is the Mackay T Show. This is the Mackay T Show. We talk movies and TV shows, sports and world news, coasting like on a world cruise. Hosted by Brian Mackay and T Davis. Yeah, you can't tame us. We're going to the top, we're becoming famous.
What time is it?
It's time for the Mackay T Show.
What time is it?
I said it's time for the Mackay T Show.
Welcome back to the Mackay T Show podcast. T, the NBA playoffs, first round, still easing on down the road. They got to do something because I don't know, it just takes too long to play the first round. The first round seems like it goes forever.
The first round is the only way to get to the second round.
Oh my goodness! But
you need to tell the teams to go ahead and sweep. See, all these teams could have had a sweep, maybe. Now, Toronto don't let them tie it up. The Spurs don't got one win. That's just a little, we won one for Coach because his wife did victory, like a more little thing. They're going to get beat when they go back to Golden State.
Listen, I can say, look, this all, I could be real petty and say that the Warriors threw their game so they could give Steph a little more time to rest himself and get ready, because they better get ready because they coming into a buzzsaw in the second round.
They don't want to see my cousin.
Listen, the Pelicans are they doing something real special this playoffs, and I know it was a sweep against Portland, but I will say this for the Trailblazers: all 4 games were very, very competitive. But Drew Holiday
ain't good. And I wish they had Boogie, because then they'll really be giving the Warriors some headaches and heartaches whenever that happens.
Listen, Anthony Davis and Drew Holiday scoring 47 and 41 in Game 4 against Portland. Man. But yeah, Anthony Davis go ahead and put his name on the MVP trophy for next year already, because it's going to be his to lose. But yeah, Drew Holiday finally is coming into the player that, that everyone kind of thought he could be. I know in Philadelphia he just kind of floundered on a kind of up and down team. But once he came to New Orleans, he got paid a bunch of money. First of all, he just started out his time there just injured. And then the whole thing in 2016 with his wife having a brain tumor during the pregnancy of their child was another, just kind of an obstacle for him to overcome. But he's finally, just coming into his own. And Alvin Gentry, the Pelicans coach, called him one of the best two-way players in the game. I mean, he was just out there balling. He's scoring at a crazy rate. He's D'ing up Damian Lillard and C.J. McCollum over there in Portland, and it's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be interesting when Golden State finally decides to finish off San Antonio.
What was they in season record?
The Pelicans
against the Warriors.
I think they got one. I want to say they got one of them. I think they're like 3-1 maybe. And it was after Boogie got hurt. I think when Golden State had come down.
Let's see. The Warriors won 3 and the Pelicans won 1 in April, March.
Yeah, I knew it was somewhere recently.
April 7th. Mm-hmm. April 7th.
My mom's birthday.
Well, the Cleveland, if they want to do something, they better get rid of and down. Like you, I don't doubt that they're gonna win this series. I just think it's gonna take 6 or 7 games, and you don't want to have to go through 6 or 7 games all the way to the finals. No matter who make it on the West Coast.
Right.
You don't want to be dog tired when you get over there.
Yeah.
And the longer these games go, the more chances people get to get hurt.
Right. And LeBron, he can say what he wants. Lance Stevenson is in his head. Even though he shouldn't let him be, that boy, he knows how to work he knows how to push those buttons.
I'm sure he's annoying, and I don't know about him being in his head more so than his teammates being in his head. Like I don't have no help, because Cal Korver played well last night, and that's probably one of the reasons they won. Because nobody else. What his name had like 12 points off the bench, but Kevin Love, was he doing anything? Let's see, Kevin, how many points you had the other night? He needs some help. J.R. Smith, 12. Kyle Korver, 18. And Jordan Clarkson, 12.
Clarkson. I'm about to say Clarkson played well.
And nobody else in double digits. And who they will play next if they win this series?
They will play the winner of Toronto and Washington, which is not...
Oh, God, there's going to be some more... I can't watch these slugfests. Go ahead.
Yeah, but which Washington tied the series up against Toronto last night, so both of those are at 2-2. Philadelphia and Miami. Philly is finally taking a little bit more control of that series after Dwayne Wade's Fountain of Youth the other night. They got Miami, their lone win so far in the series.
Yeah, that's over. Philly gonna finish them up.
Yeah, I believe so. And Boston and Milwaukee are tied at 2 apiece. Tonight's games.
So boring to watch. Oh.
Listen, Jaylen Brown is becoming a star for Boston. He's gonna look real good in San Antonio, black and gray next year when they trade for.
Why you think he's gonna be traded?
Oh, they don't worry. Boston gonna trade for Kawhi. You just mark it down. Just remember on April 23rd, 2018, okay. I said it. Yeah, yeah. Kawhi Leonard gonna be a Boston Celtic.
Okay.
But tonight's games is 2 Western Conference series. You got Houston and Minnesota. Minnesota finally got their first win in the series, and I believe the late game is Utah and Oklahoma City.
Yeah, it's only 2 games today.
I know Carl Anthony Towns finally showed up the other night when Minnesota got their first win. I think it was Saturday. But yeah, I think Houston gonna go overpower them. Utah and Oklahoma City. Yeah, Paul George continuing his playoff P. Did you hear about that? He called himself playoff P in that press conference.
Oh, nigga, Swaggy P in playoff. I need him to help see.
Yeah. Hey, I
don't got time for that.
Well, you gonna have a lot of time next year when he playing for your Lakers.
I don't know why y'all think he coming to LA.
But moving on from the marathon of the NBA playoffs, let's talk about the NFL action. NFL came out with their schedule for this upcoming season last week, and if anybody would like to see, I found a top 10 list of the best games. It was compiled by athlonsports.com. For anybody who wants to check out the article, I mean, they got a bunch of different articles out there, but it's just one that caught my eye because there's 10 games on this list, and there's only like six or 7 teams involved in the 10 games. It's like the same teams.
Oh, great.
But number 10 on their list, Pittsburgh Steelers at Jacksonville, and that's week 11 on Sunday Night Football. Number 9, Minnesota Vikings and the LA Rams in week 4, Thursday Night Football. Number 8, the Los Angeles Rams again at our San Francisco 49ers, week 7, Sunday Night Football. Number 7, got the New Orleans Saints looking for a little redemption at Minnesota, week 8, Sunday Night Football. Number 6, Green Bay Packers at the New England Patriots, week 9, Sunday Night Football. Number 5, Minnesota Vikings at the Philadelphia Eagles, Super Bowl champions, week 5. Number 4, Atlanta Falcons at the Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles, week 1, and that's the NFL kickoff game. Number 3, the Los Angeles Rams at the Oakland Raiders in week 1 on Monday Night Football. John Gruden makes his return to the sideline. Number 2, New England Patriots at the Pittsburgh Steelers, Week 15. And the number 1 game on this list is, once again, the Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles against the LA Rams, Week 15, Sunday Night Football. So, yeah, about 6 teams and 10 games.
Well, the Philadelphia Patriots keep saying the Super Bowl champion.
No, they didn't give me any money on that.
Oh, well, you need to call them. Because I was like, why do we keep saying that?
Oh, no, but just this list right here alone shows you who, the teams to beat will be next year. I mean, you got Minnesota with Kirk Cousins. They got rid of, I think, just about every one of those other quarterbacks that they had on their roster and brought in Kirk. The Rams have beefed up every single part of their offense and defense. And they're still in the talks of maybe possibly getting Odell Beckham, but I think that's kind of died down here recently. But yeah, Philadelphia will be nice again next year. New England, if they don't just completely explode with everything going on in their neck of the woods right now, with Rob Gronkowski and him contemplating retirement. Tom Brady won't commit to playing this year. Pittsburgh is always dangerous. Oakland should have been better this past year, in my opinion, but they definitely should, on paper, should be good this coming year. And John Gruden calling the signals there. New Orleans, always a threat with that offense that they have, and their defense finally showed up last year until the last play of the last game, when the boy just completely missed the tackle against Minnesota. But we're not going to talk about it. We're going to leave it alone. It is what it is. Yeah, it should be a really interesting season. I'm looking forward to it. It'll give us something to talk about.
Brian looking forward to NFL. I probably still be on my hiatus. I don't know when I'm gonna lift the band. I'm just looking for college football. Excited about my Gators. Excited to see what some other teams look like with new coaches. Yeah, that's pretty much what I'm looking for.
Yep, college football should be nice.
I don't want my summer to run by, so I'm really waiting for the Incredibles.
Yes, let's make it slow down.
But I'm waiting for the Incredibles to come on.
In a little bit of world news, did you see this last week with the Southwest plane?
Yes, and I was like, why? What? Go ahead and talk about it.
So,
what interests you about this? Because I was like, why is this interesting to him?
Well, just because it was on every single station last week over and over again, and I just kept hearing more and more information, and just the stories that people were telling when they were interviewing them about what went on. I mean, it's not so much that it interests me. It just seemed to be everywhere last week, and it just seemed to be like, wow. Just, as many times as I've been on planes, just stuff like this, just the thought of something like this happening is just crazy. And if people don't know, there was a engine exploded on a Southwest flight, where basically just a hole in the side of the plane just opens up, and a passenger gets sucked in, and got other passengers out there trying to help her pull her back in or whatever. But that passenger winds up dying, and just a couple of others that got a couple of multiple injuries occurred with them. But just the thought of something like this happening is just, I don't know, it just freaks me out as much as I've been on planes. And
well, while you was watching planes, I was watching Starbucks and racism rears ugly head again in America.
Okay, so, I'm glad you brought that up, because I was going to add that to the list as well.
And I don't go into Starbucks because I don't care about coffee, but if I ever thought I wanted some coffee, I would not go to there for it.
Well, here's the thing, and I was listening to Shaq's podcast, the big podcast with Shaq, on Podcast One and iTunes and anywhere else you get your podcast, for anyone that wants to listen. His latest episode came out today, and he spoke about this. And he said this whole boycotting Starbucks things is stupid. It's ridiculous. There was a manager at this Starbucks who probably needs to lose his job. He's the one who, was in charge of letting who he let in. He let the white people use the restroom, and then the African American customers, he denied, telling them they need to order something or whatever the story was. He's the one that caused that. Starbucks did not cause that. So he said boycotting Starbucks is crazy because Starbucks has done nothing but being good to the African American community. He goes back.
When they been good to the African Americans,
well, he goes back and
Magic Johnson buy a bunch of stuff. That wasn't even. Go ahead.
It was, yeah. That he talks about. He goes back to, he told the story before how he was approached about opening up a bunch of Starbucks in African American communities, and he turned it down. And Magic Johnson picked up the ball, and Magic is the one who, he made all this money doing that in the way he has out in L.A. But yeah, he says that, you got two prime African American, citizens that they went after in sought in trying to be investors in this whole, community-wide project that they had going on, and and Magic wound up being the one to get it. So that's why he says that you can't call Starbucks racist.
Well, first of all, let's revisit this. Let's revisit how many people that weren't superstars did they ask? Because asking two black men out of God knows how many people that you could ask that's relatively well off that could make money. Asking Shaq and Magic don't make them we doing great things for the black community. Just because Shaq them own it, guess who make the money? Starbucks. I'm sure they still got a big fat cut.
Well, I mean, they can't just ask cousin Jeff off the street. I mean,
that's not relevant, Brian. Don't play me like that. Cousin Jeff off the street can't afford it. There are other people in the black community that could either join up and say, yes, we as a conglomerate want to have a Starbucks, or it's easy just to go to Shaq or whoever that you think got money and do it. And I've seen video footage on another channel on YouTube where the guy intentionally recorded. He did the exact same thing, and I want to say he was in California. He watched. He had gone up to the register and asked for a key to Starbucks. Mm-hmm. He was told unless he bought something, he couldn't use it. He saw another white guy go in, get the key, and go to the bathroom, and he waited with his camera up, and he walked up to the guy and was like, hey, did you buy something before they gave you the key? And the guy kind of looked like, no, but I'm about to go get something. And then, so he went back to the manager, and he was like, so what's the deal? Like, you gave this guy the key, and he hadn't purchased anything, but when I asked you, you told me no because I had to purchase something. So I'm not necessarily saying there's an only Starbucks problem. Again, this is an American problem.
Right, and it just, once again,
and so we're not just going to give them a pass because these are the people that's been caught doing it.
Oh, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that anybody should get a pass. I'm just saying that, don't just immediately, hammer down your hatred towards Starbucks when it's.
Well, if we don't protest somewhere where we see it and other people see it, then nobody's gonna ever join us in the fight.
I understand,
because there was white people out there with us saying, "Yes, this is inappropriate. This is out of order."
I understand, but it seems like that's a situation.
Up in the Starbucks, that's unfortunate.
I'm just saying, we just keep getting ourselves in these situations where we hammer down things because of certain individuals, and we never can come to a pass. We never can get anything accomplished. Can make things better. When we keep doing what?
Somebody came out and said that person, I don't know who the manager was, and I feel like it was a woman and not a man, but at any rate, that person had been nasty to them, and they felt like it was more because of their color than anything else. And I don't know if the person went to anybody above them, but Starbucks hired them and put them in that position.
Correct.
So somebody got to be held accountable.
Yeah. Yeah, and I understand you saying that, but at the same time, and I'm not just talking about a Starbucks situation. I'm talking about just it just seems like we hammer down on Starbucks when there's just one individual being being racist. And yeah, Starbucks hired them.
That's the one that we've seen, Brian. We don't know how many of these things are out here.
And I'm sure there are plenty, but there's no future in fixing this whole problem when we go after the wrong source. I mean, they need to protest him out of there. And it really shouldn't have to come to a protest.
So then what?
He should be gone.
He gonna get a job at somewhere else.
Okay, well, I mean, that's
protesting one person again. We can agree to disagree on that. Like somebody have to, like if we don't say Starbucks until y'all make some changes, because Starbucks apparently ain't had no bias training. Because they wouldn't be talking about having it now if they could already say, well, we had a bad hire. We've done bias and cultural competence trainings before. Clearly, that's not the case because they didn't state that. And so, if this didn't come out and nobody said we're going to boycott y'all, guess what? They would have been continuing to do business as usual.
Right, and I agree with that.
So that helps Starbucks. It don't only help us as the black community or brown communities or whatever. Like, if people are not having these conversations, and this one-time bias training ain't going to change nobody, but it's a start.
Right. It's somewhere,
It's a start.
Yeah.
It's something that corporations should be doing.
Correct.
So, yeah, I appreciate Shaq's little input, but somebody had to take, like, we take the butt of stuff that don't have nothing to do with us all the time, the black community, and don't nobody be like, well, you know what, we just gonna let them deal with that, and we can deal like that all the time, and then we ain't all as a group not gonna get anywhere. We just be like, oh, that's an isolated incident,
Yeah, and you're right. And then on the flip side of that, what you just said, there's been isolated incident after isolated incident after isolated incident, and just keeps.
It's bad, Brian, and I'm not mad at you or anything. I'm just.
I understand.
Shaq got a big voice, and for him to just kind of say and brush that over, the same thing down at Houston's. Now it's kind of blown away. You remember maybe it was last summer, early summer, when T.I. them and they was like, oh, they had tried to go into Houston as like a group of 10, and then they was like, oh, we don't have that big of parties or something, and then they was like, well, we'll break up into groups of 5 or whatever you need, and then they kept trying to justify why this is a Houston's in Atlanta. Mm-hmm. They kept trying to justify why they wouldn't, and for those who don't know, Houston's is a restaurant, not talking about steak.
Right.
But they kept trying to justify why they couldn't seat them, and then they just came to the conclusion, like, are you doing this because of the color of our skin? And something happened that another group of white individuals came in, and they set them, I think it was a party of 4 or something like that. And they was like, well, what's the deal? Like, we just told you we would break up like that. We didn't all 10, 7, or however many of us had to sit together. So then them and T.I. and some other people was like, okay, we boycott Houston, the restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I mean, it's always some isolated situation. No, it's America needs to get it together.
Yeah. And, the fact that something like that could happen to somebody like T.I. in Atlanta, that just shows you it can happen to anyone.
I don't think he was there necessarily. I think it was, I think he knew, like, some of the people were, like, not average Joes like me or you. Like, they knew people in the industry.
Right.
And so when I think they tweeted about it or did something, T.I. was like, oh, no, we're not having
that.
Okay. So he came down. I don't think he was necessarily in the party that were trying to be seated. But, yeah, I mean, and I'm sure stuff like that, happen. Everybody ain't looking at rap and don't know who he is. So, yeah, we got a lot of work to do. America, I was just watching something on Diane Sawyer has done a little thing about the Me Too movement. And she looked at, less of the popular, and not necessarily popular, but a lot of people that have come out that we know about because they are names in the industry, and are names that come up at these award ceremony in February and all. she looked at people that were like working in construction, in hotels, and just restaurants or whatever. And I can't wait to watch. I saw one clip of it, and the stuff that lady was saying that she had to deal with that worked in a construction site, I was like, man, I know you got to feed your family, but that's ridiculous. Like, and so yeah, America got a lot of work to do, and I don't know what the deal is. I mean, I know what the deal is, but I don't appreciate Shaq kind of just.
Well, and since you brought him up again, I don't want to just completely dismiss. I want to just add some other stuff that he talked about. He laid it out, because he's big into the law, trying to be a sheriff and everything like that.
Oh Lord, yes, I forgot about that.
Yeah, he did. I wanted to add this part too, because I don't want to leave anything out. He did speak about as far as how the law is interpreted. And he kept saying, at the same time, it's not, and I don't believe it's right morally, but the letter of the law is if they're not there to be paying customers, then they are, loitering, and loitering.
That's incorrect, Brian. We all know, and I want to say we loosely because I only recently find this out that Starbucks, one of their big things is you can come here and just chill. And so many people have, and let me say, be clear, white people have said, yes, I have just gone in there to sit down and use their Wi-Fi and never bought anything, and nobody asked me to do anything. One of the ladies that was a witness to what happened to the two black gentlemen, she said, I was sitting there with some Gatorade waiting for my son so I could pick him up or do something, and I never bought anything and never went to purchase anything. So that's incorrect. It's plenty of people that says, yes, Starbucks, that's something that they pride themselves on as being a place where you can come and have a meeting, come and hang out. They got in there, Brian, at whatever, I think 4:35. At 4:37, the police were being called. 2 minutes after they arrived. Mm-hmm. Their appointment was at 4:45 with the guy that came in. Later on, if you watch the video, the white guy was like, what are you doing? That's who I think they were meeting. They hadn't even been in there 2 minutes before she or he, whoever it was, called the police. But that's incorrect because even the arresting officer, sheriff chief or whatever his name, he said he didn't know that was one of the Starbucks things. So Shaq needs to do his homework, and he said he apologized, but he didn't know that was one of the things that you could go and just kind of chill in there. And maybe if they had known something different would have happened, I don't know. But Shaq, do your homework. Go ahead. I'm sorry. What else did Shaq say?
On top of the loitering, he said once they, refused to leave, when they were asked to leave, when they, I don't know. I don't know the whole story, so forgive me for that. So I don't know exactly how. I mean, I guess when they were asked, when they were denied service, they, obviously made somewhat of a scene. Just not making a scene, but just questioning why they were denied bathroom privileges.
No, this is how it went down. So, this is out of the two guys that they were on Today Show or something with Robin Roberts interviewed them. Mm-hmm. They said they went in, the one went and found a seat, the one went and asked for the key because he had to use the restroom. She was like, the restroom only for paying customers. Mm-hmm. He was like, okay. So he went, found his little partner, and sat down. They sitting there just talking, waiting, because like I said, it wasn't but a 10-minute block that the other party was supposed to come to meet them. Like they got there at 4:35 for a 4:45 meeting with this guy. Within 2 minutes, she had called the police. While they sitting there just chilling, like waiting for the dude, they see the police come up and they like, oh, I know they're not. Like what, like what's the police here for? Like what's going on? Right. Police approaching them. And they don't say necessarily what was said, but the next thing they knew, they were in handcuffs. The other guy arrives, and it's like, what is happening? Like, what is going on here? They've done nothing. You can hear the lady in the background that was recording or somebody that was witness, like, they didn't do anything. They were just sitting over there waiting. And the police could have showed some kind of restraint and been like, okay, we're not going to arrest y'all. We just need y'all to leave this because we've had this complaint, or inquire to the manager, like what did they do wrong, like what's the problem. I don't think they even asked the manager like what was the deal. But in their ignorance, apparently, I didn't know that you could like just kind of hang out in the place, because even people that I've talked to around here was like, yeah, I go there and use their Wi-Fi all the time. Nobody ever says anything. So with them not having that information, and I guess they didn't inquire, and the next thing you know, they done arrested 2 people for nothing. They've been in jail for 8 to 9 hours for no reason but the color of their skin, and that's how it went down.
Okay, well, yeah. Well, on top of the whole lottery thing, he also went further, talking about, when they were refusing to leave, then when the police are called, then it's called trespassing, and he was just going off the order of the law. And like you said, right, he obviously didn't know. He didn't know Starbucks policy, just like the police did. And that just ignorance is not an excuse, but that goes without saying. And like you just said, I didn't know that was a policy as well. So
I had no idea until I was like, well, yeah, they're gonna arrest you if somebody say we don't want you in here. They don't care about your skin color or whatever. They gonna do it. But then people start saying like, no, like that's the thing that they want you to come in there and hang out. Now I don't know if they're gonna change that policy,
or maybe just make it a little bit clearer. Have it posted. I don't know. I
watched The View. Like the people on The View knew it. Like I don't know how. I do know how I don't know it. I don't drink coffee, so I've never even wanted to know it. So that's sort of reason that I don't know it.
Right.
But like Whoopi Goldberg and they crew, they talked about it, and apparently all of them knew. Like, yeah, you can go in there and hang out. I feel like one of the people on the cast was like they had done it in the past, like went in there and was just hanging out. So I get, loitering and trespassing and all that. But sometimes the police, you got to use this thing that a lot of people don't have. And I guess if you don't have it, you can't use it, called common sense. Like, what are you arresting them for? We were just sitting here. Yeah, you're not listening. Anybody around you is saying that, no, they haven't done anything. Like, they're just sitting here like us. No, because typically when they come, they don't have good intentions, because you cannot tell me, if you watch that video, why do you need 5, 6, 7 police look like in that video? Because you got a call to Starbucks about 2 black gentlemen that whoever want out of the facility.
Yeah, that's good.
At least 4 or 5 police look like in that video. Why do you need that many people? They didn't say the place was being robbed.
No, that's extremely excessive. I feel like when just knowing off the information that we have, and clearly all they called for was, and I'm talking of Starbucks now, the management called and said that there were 2 gentlemen, and I'm sure probably said they were refusing to leave. Maybe that's what the wordage was.
That's what they told them.
1, 2 at the most. I don't feel like that. Maybe they thought that something would jump off and they wanted extra to just, I don't know what their reasoning was.
Black people not superheroes. Look, the 2 men we're gonna have to go ahead and have a fight. So let's see, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 officers that I can see in this video.
Mm-hmm. And I don't know
I don't know why you need 5 officers to show up on the scene for somebody. If let's say they just believe this was a loitering situation.
Mm-hmm.
If 5 officers is in here, Burn, because I just pulled up the video, because I didn't want to, I could have been like my mind playing tricks on me. 5 officers.
Mm-hmm.
There might be 6. So, anyway, I don't know. Tell Shay to do his homework before he go running out here talking about all the loitering. And thank you for knowing the letter of the law and how they could have broken it. But you know what? People get pulled over for speeding all the time, and some officers use some, like, okay, well, I'm gonna give you a warning. We're not gonna give you a ticket or whatever. Now, if you doing 70 and a 35, you probably gonna get more than a ticket and a reckless driving charge or something. But they don't have to arrest people when they show up on the scene. It's plenty of times that they show up on scenes and nobody's put in handcuffs. That is degrading. Now they got to. Now I don't know if Starbucks or whoever gonna ante up and be like, we'll pay to get your, because once you are booked and all, somebody got to pay to get that all cleaned off, or that's gonna show up that you were arrested.
Right. And just like it should be on this manager's permanent record on what he's done here in this situation, it will be on their permanent record that they were arrested for, you know.
So now they got to, like I said, unless they wind up suing, which the man that was on the attorney, he said they just wanted to be a part of the solution. He didn't say that was in their plans of suing or anything. But somebody gonna have to, like, they gotta get an attorney, or they gonna have to do it themselves and file paperwork or whatever to get that off of their record, since they didn't do anything. And the person that got fired, like I said, all they gonna say is, I worked from Starbucks to January 2017 to April 2018, and that's gonna be on their resume. And somebody may or may not ask why you left the job, and that'll be it. And they'll move on and be who they are somewhere else.
Yeah. I mean, it's Tennessee. I'm gonna follow this story a little bit closer, see what happens with it. But we just blew right through my Southwest story.
Oh yeah, we did. So yeah, planes are typically safe people.
No, I mean, really, I don't know. And like you said, you asked why I thought that was newsworthy. I didn't necessarily think it was newsworthy. I just thought, you know, it was on so many outlets last week, and I heard so much about it. It just worries me. I know people that are on flights all the time, and it just situation like that.
It's interesting, you know. Again, it's a lot of people that Starbucks thing they don't know nothing about it. It ain't gonna come across their radar.
Mm-hmm.
And as for the plane, I pray every time I get on planes. The reason that I don't like flying is just the whole process of getting into the matrix and out of the matrix and being treated like a criminal. And I continue to say that, you know, they continue to tell us that they are trying to protect us and taking away our liberties. And so, yeah. That's because people that want to do this stuff have inside people that help them do it. Like, if they really want to be, you know, get on a plane and do whatever, they going to know the inner workings. They going to have somebody to get a job there that can help them get through the system.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how this all shakes out. I wonder if someone will step up and take care of this for these young men. And
then in Nashville, we got shooting. Now, this man, I don't know what the deal is. He out here at the Waffle House and started just shooting people with a AR. I don't know if he had an AR-15. He had an automatic rifle. He out here naked. They said he didn't have on nothing but a coat. He goes into the Waffle House. Now, it looked like it happened early in the evening. He go in there shooting. Now, he don't kill 4 people. Some man grabbed him. Grabbed the gun. He said he grabbed the gun. He grabbed him partially and was able to snatch the gun away from him and pull it and throw it over the counter or something. Because you know the Waffle House really close all the stuff in.
Right.
Because I was like, now this sounded like some crazy. But anyway, when the story kept going, I was like, Lord, he ain't having no clothes. The officer gonna say, if you see anybody naked, I was like, they was like, it's probably him. I was like, oh my God. And so this person has been at the White House and shot or threatened or something, and they took his weapon. And I don't know when this happened with the White House thing, but they took his weapon. According to reports, he got it. They gave the weapon back to the father, and he was released to whatever. He sounded like he should have went to a mental facility. But apparently the daddy gave him the gun back. And now 4 people dead at Waffle House.
Oh my goodness.
Well, and some people got injured.
Well, before you said he was naked, I thought you was describing Samuel L. Jackson walking in the McDowell's.
Right. No, I was like, huh? What?
Wow.
He is, because I just like, okay, he looked like a young white male, typical, you know, the whole, usually that's who it is. It's young white males that wind up in these situations, whether it's a school shooting or whatever. Yeah, he done ran up in there. They show his picture. He done ran up in there, naked. He look like he can't be, they say he's 29. Yeah, Travis. Don't went in there and kill 4 people. Don't nobody know what. Well, I think he's still loose. He said last seen walking south on Murfreesboro Pike. And I know exactly what Murfreesboro Pike is. That's not funny. I'm just thinking that I actually lived in Nashville for a minute and actually know where that street is. But anyway, it's crazy out here in these streets.
Yes, it is. You have anything else before we wrap it up? I'm all out of topics.
No, that happened yesterday, and the only way I had saw it on my phone, and you don't pay the little flip feeder, and it, you know, when you like, well, I don't know how other phones work, but when I click on my on the internet bar, it gives me some different options to look at, and I saw Nashville shooting. I say, Lord, let me see what this is. Yep, there go Travis running around, no clothes on, shooting people, and I'm not making light of it because 4 people dead, but that's just another sign that we need more mental health facilities and more people to diagnose these people with something. Because if he did something at the White House, I don't understand how he got this gun back. But we're not gonna start talking about gun control. Yeah, that's it.
Well, hopefully it won't be as crazy this time next week. But we'll see how the world. One more time for Incredibles 2 plug. You excited?
Yes, very excited to see Edna's new. Actually, you know, the mama is not wearing Edna's fashion.
She is
so
not.
Edna gonna have a problem with that.
Yeah, Edna not gonna be happy with that. If anybody has seen the Edna trailer, yeah, she's not gonna have a good time with that. And,
yeah, so Edna not gonna be happy about that. And I just think it's gonna be fun to watch the dad try to manage the house while the mom out doing the superhero thing. And I hope that at the end of it we have some resolution as to what little Jack's powers are, because Jack all over the place with the things that he can do.
Yeah, he got a multitude of
So I hope we have some kind of resolution as to what is his 1 or 2 powers gonna be. Like, yeah, because everybody else got one. Like, you know, sister can be invisible and do the little force field, but the brother's super fast, the dad's strong, and the mama elastic. Now the baby got all kinds of stuff happening with him, so I'm interested to see what the deal is with that.
Yeah, I just want to make sure we mention it one more time since we've mentioned Incredibles 2 every week, just about.
Yeah, we didn't even mention that this weekend is Avengers coming out, but that's another thing y'all can go out and check out. Avengers this weekend.
Infinity War.
Over there near you.
Yes, indeed. All right. Well, as always, I am one of your co-hosts, Brian Mackay, and I am with
T. Let's see what we got today. God is good, Davis. Yes.
What time is it?
And this has been the Mac and T Show podcast. Thank you for listening.
This is the Mac and T Show. This is the Mac and T Show. We talk movies and TV shows, sports and world news, coasting like on a world cruise. Hosted by Brian Mackay and T Davis. Yeah, you can't tame us. We're going to the top, we're becoming famous.
What time is it?
It's time for the Mac and T Show.
What time is it?
I said it's time for the Mac and T Show.